Well, as I always say, this is a fantastic one on That's Classic, and it really is. This is somebody that, I've been really looking forward to getting together with, and our schedules have not worked out, but they have now. And she played, the iconic, I would say at this point, Sue Ellen on Dallas. She has been in Melrose Place, Touched by an Angel. She was in Oscar with Sylvester Stallone. Not too long ago, she was in Ladies of the 80s, Diva's Christmas. So, anyway, I would love to welcome Linda Gray. So, welcome, Linda.
Thank you, John. Lovely to be here. Thank
Well,
you.
you got it without a doubt. So, I did a lot of research on you, which was a lot of fun. And one thing that I never really found, which I thought was interesting, is what your audition was like for Dallas. Did you have an audition for Dallas?
Oddly enough, I did. Um, there was a wonderful casting director. Her name was Ruth Forte, and she was amazing. Does that come in front of the screen?
No, it does not.
Oh, okay. There's some kind of people to come in. Anyway, I'm busy. I have things to do. Anyway, Ruth Comforte was the casting director on All That Glitters with Norman Lear in 1977.
Hmm.
And so they had asked her, Dallas had asked, they said, we're looking for someone, it's a small role. And so we're looking for someone, and they described Sue Ellen Ewing, which was a very small part. So she said, I'm working with Linda Gray. Nobody knew who I was. They were like, who is that? And so she said, I think you should audition, have an audition for her. So the long story short, they said, okay. They were not happy. They had in their mind picked Mary Fran, who ended up being Bob Newhart's
Oh,
wife.
totally, totally.
And so, but she was my friend, and I thought, ooh, that's a tricky one. So anyway, they said, okay, we have an interview 5 o'clock Friday night, and there was this thud, and it was like, ooh, they want to go home. They don't get
Right,
any
right.
auditioning actors, and so and there was no audition script. So David Jacobs, who created the show, he said, okay, I'll just write something down. So that I had something to audition. Sue Ellen's lines basically were more coffee, JR. Wonderful, in-depth, thoughtful comments. So in the script, she wasn't even mentioned. Her name was not mentioned. We didn't know whether she was, the hairdresser or the tennis coach. Nothing about Sue Ellen in the script.
Oh
But
my
I didn't have a
goodness.
script, so they just gave me this wonderful piece to read about being on the phone with J.R. Ewing, saying, "Oh, I totally understand. You're going to work late tonight, sweetheart, and you won't be at John Ross's birthday party." And so I read it and I thought, okay, I didn't have a clue as to who JR was, nothing. So I said that. I just realized that probably he was maybe not at the office, and that's why he wasn't coming. So I read the script, and I thanked them all for listening to my audition, and I went to the elevator, and they were all very nice. But I knew that they wanted to go home. So
Sure.
on Monday morning, I received a call from my agent saying, "You got that job." But I knew the minute I pressed that elevator and walked to my car, I thought intuitively, I knew I had that job. For what reason, whatever. I didn't have anything to prepare. There was no script given to me. So anyway, long story short, there I was, Sue Ellen Ewing.
Before we go on with the interview, I just wanted to remind you to please subscribe to That's Classic if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so that you'll know when my next episode is being released. Okay, let's go on with the interview. It just shows you, talk about the classic, I have an acting background too, by the way. So, I've been around, never had quite the level of success that you had, but I understand that whole process. And, they always say, hey, no, there is no small part. And look at this. I mean, you went from literally a character that they're like, well, we don't even have lines for to, what all those years being on Dallas. It's just incredible.
That's the word. It is incredible, still incredible. Honestly, John, I feel blessed. I had this amazing role that continues. It just continues to, blossom and be. And I meet the most amazing people. Wherever I go, they tell me the stories of, you had to be seated Friday night at that particular time, wherever you were in the world. You had to sit down. There were no VCRs, there were no remote controls. I mean, there weren't even cell phones. So,
Right, exactly.
it was a different time on the planet. And so you had to be home. And so all the people that I do, I still talk to, they tell me these great stories of being on grandma's couch and mom was there. And then some of the little ones had to be put to bed. And
Yeah, yeah.
just great stories of the magic connection between us doing our work to entertain everybody and them appreciating it.
It's just incredible. It's so funny. One of the other questions that I had for you, and now I'm really intrigued, is how much say then did you have in the character? Because it sounds like they didn't even know what they were going to do with you. Yeah.
Agreed. Because I think they didn't want JR to be married. I think they assumed he would just keep having affairs with all these women, bring in all these other actors, and I think that's what happened. Is that in my mind, thinking their mind, which is not smart,
Yeah, yeah.
I thought, who is she? I had to find out who she was, and that's an actor's job.
Oh yeah. Did you have like an actor's bio? That you created or anything like that?
No, I work really intuitively. So in the beginning, I didn't have anything to do, and we were at this really tacky motel in Dallas, and we were hired to do 5 episodes. Okay, so I was there with not a lot to do, and so I thought, okay. Who is Sue Ellen Ewing? I got to find out who this woman is. So anyway, we were in this really tacky motel across the freeway from Neiman Marcus. So I thought, aha, who is this woman? And she's obviously rich. And oddly enough, they all lived together in one house, which was pretty odd to me.
Yeah.
And so that was number one. And I thought, okay, but who is she? So I went across to Neiman Marcus and I went to the beauty salon. And one day I had my hair blown dry, and and I listened to the women of Dallas with their wonderful accents, and they were done up. I watched the way they were dressed, what kind of shoes they wore, their purses, the jewelry. I just had this wonderful infusion of a Dallas woman
Yeah.
and a rich one. So I thought, okay, where do I go? So I did. And then I'd go the next day and get my nails done and listen some more and do all these wonderful absorption. It was like I was this cotton ball filled with,
Yeah,
come on,
yeah, exactly.
feed me, feed me. Who is she? And, and I was blessed because I had time. I had the time because I wasn't working.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was so amazing. And then Larry and I were invited to some fancy dinner thing at the Mansion Hotel. And I remember clearly walking into the ladies' room. And there was this woman, and we were both standing putting on lipsticks. And I looked down at the countertop, and she opened her Judith Lieber bag, and in the bag was lipstick and a gun.
Oh my gosh.
Like this little gun. And I thought, well, that's probably a Derringer. Didn't know anything about guns. And I thought, well, and so now this is really crazy, but I didn't know much about this at the time. So I looked down at her bag, her open bag, and I said, excuse me, is that a gun? And I thought, no, that's the stupidest thing I have ever said. And so she looked at me with these big Texas eyes. And she said, "Of course, darling, this is Texas."
Oh, whoa.
I loved it. It started the process for my absorbing mind to help create who is this? Who is
Hmm.
Sue Ellen Ewing, and how am I going to put bits and pieces together? I thought it was the greatest line. And I told the producers, I said, this, I just heard this in the ladies' room. And I said it was so funny. And I said, so could you put it in the script somewhere? It's such a precious, perfect Texas woman thing. And he said, yeah, yeah, yeah. He never did. But
Oh
I,
no, you're kidding.
no, I thought it was great. He
Oh, it's
didn't,
great.
there was probably no room. I don't know. But anyway, I loved it so much that I had to tell him, please put it in. Didn't. That's okay.
Yeah. Boy, you really, I mean, I see, I just get that feeling. You kind of created this character. I mean, that's really kind of amazing from nothing to, just an amazing, in-depth, well-developed character. I mean, I know the writers were, obviously that's heavily involved, but still the persona that you gave off, just unbelievable. That's something. What about when you first start out as a character, there's all these drunken moments. I mean, I guess that's the best way I can put it. Where did you go for that? Like, as far as developing the character, what were you drawing upon for that? Because that's not always easy as an actor to, have to do that.
Well, that was one of my pet peeves when you watch actors on. Well, now they're better, but it used to be where they'd be over the top. There would be
Yes.
just too much drunk stuff. And I thought, no, she's a classy lady. She's not going to do that. And I remember reading Uta Hagen's book.
An actor
Uh,
prepares.
yes,
Yeah.
and I remember reading the alcohol drunken thing, and she gave. I mean, I absorbed that by. She said in her book, um, "Put your eyes a little bit out of focus." Just a little bit out of focus, so that you don't grab for a drink or you don't grab for anything. Everything's your emotions are slowed down
Hmm.
because you're not focused.
Hmm.
And so I started with that.
Interesting.
And so that you walk differently if you're sitting in a chair or a bar stool or whatever you are.
Hmm.
You don't just jump off the bar stool. Because you're not, your balance is off.
Hmm.
So I did that, and it kind of became like, okay, this is how we do it. And I kept practicing because I thought, okay, here's my role. Great. Now what do I do? And
Yeah.
so I realized that that was a key for me to just look a little bit, and then you don't get sloppy. I
Hmm.
knew she could not be sloppy. She's not that kind of woman. And so I kept practicing that, and nobody said anything. And I thought they always said, "Good job! Oh, great scene, whatever." So I thought, okay, just take it easy, slow down your motions. You don't talk fast. You don't, you're not slurring your words badly. You're ladylike alcoholic.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
And
you
that's
pulled
how
it off.
that's how I did it. And I liked the way it felt.
Hmm. No, it was very believable. I mean, yeah, it's because I mean, I always look at it not just as a viewer, but obviously, as an actor, and I'm like, well, you totally pulled it off, and that's asking a lot because you didn't just have like one drunken moment. I mean, you had to like play it.
I know it was like, oh my God, another one, another one. But it must have been like, I look at it as a compliment. It's like, okay, she did it. She did it well. Let's give her, let's give her more.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's really true. So when was the very first time that you met Larry Hagman and Patrick Duffy? Like, do you remember that first day when you actually met them?
I did. I do to this day remember it. I mean, such a beautiful, it was our family. But when the very first day, I remember we were in Burbank, California, and we had all been cast. and we were to meet for the first time in Burbank. We were originally supposed to shoot it in Burbank at Warner Brothers Studios
Huh.
in Burbank. And my husband was the art director of Warner Brothers Records. So we got so excited because we could drive to work together and,
Hmm.
we could have lunch together. Well, that was totally wrong. I would leave the house at 4:30 in the morning. So that never happened.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we were there and we were meeting for the very first time. So I remember walking into the room, Mr. Hagman, as he liked me to call him, Mr. Hagman, not Larry.
Oh,
Anyway, he had these carved saddlebags over his, the saddlebags, and
yeah,
then
yeah.
in the back and in the front, and they were filled with 2 bottles of champagne, which typical. And so,
Right.
um, so I thought, well, this is an interesting way to start this series. Anyway, remember, there were only 5. We were only hired for 5. Anyway, so I looked at Mr. Hagman, and he said, "Hello, darling." And I looked at him and I thought, this is Major Nelson.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
thought I had a little crush on Major Nelson. So I was kind
Oh.
of like, whoa, this is Major Nelson. And it was adorable. And I was just kind of blushing, I think. And then I met Patrick Duffy. Now, I knew Patrick Duffy a year prior because he had seen me on All the Glitters, the Norman Lear show.
Yes.
And we had this makeup man that was sort of we both knew him. So one day the makeup man said, I have to drop something off at Patrick Duffy's house. Just, come in with me. And I said, okay. So I walked in and Patrick Duffy went, oh my God, you're the girl from All That Glitters. And so we had kind of a little meeting before this big Dallas meeting.
How interesting that
And
that happened.
I mean, so it was like, okay, so I went from Major Nelson and I moved over to the man from Atlantis that I'd already met. And I, remember him in his web thing, outfit, whatever it
Right.
was. And so there was another one. I thought, this is fabulous. This is wonderful. And then I saw Jim Davis, and he was on that wonderful, like He-Man kind of, I can't remember the name, sorry. Maybe not Emergency, but it was one of those like firefighter kind
Oh
of.
yeah, I do remember that. And I can't get it either. Because emergency goes through my head because you were on emergency too. Yeah.
Yeah, but this thing with Jim Davis, I don't know. He was like maybe a fireman or something wonderful, but he was so handsome, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in this room of really established actors.
Yeah.
And then I turned and I saw Barbara Bel Geddes, and I thought, wait a minute, what's she doing here? She's Broadway and very well established, well known actor
Iconic.
in New York. And I thought, okay, so then I looked and Charlene was 17. And I remember looking down, she was short. And I remember looking down at her going, well, you're adorable and will be interesting. And then Ken Kercheval and Steve Canale that looked like the typical cowboy, tall, gorgeous.
Hmm.
And so I thought to myself, I thought, looking at the people in this room, what the hell kind of series is this? This is most bizarre. We have Major Nelson, man from Atlantis, Barbara Bel Geddes from Broadway, and we've got Jim Davis, gorgeous, whatever, I can't remember his. And then we have this little beautiful blonde creature called Charlene Tilton.
Wow.
And I just stood there going, what possible way? What is this show? This
Yeah.
is the oddest bunch of people I've ever seen together. What kind of show is this? And I just come from literally from All It Glitters. So I thought this is something that I haven't a clue. I haven't a clue. How are they going to put all these people together and make it work?
Wow.
Little did I know.
Did everybody get along right from the get-go?
Yeah. We were in this terrible, tacky motel that I told you about.
Yeah.
I mean, with shaggy green.
Oh, come on. Come on.
Terrible, tacky motel. We were all there. And then Mr. Hagman invited us all to come to his room. And so we could all kind of get together. And so we all went down to Mr. Hagman's room, and he had the bathtub was filled with ice cubes. And so that was like, well, like, I guess it's a bar, something. This is most bizarre. And we're all sitting on the floor and hanging out and just chatting. What are you doing here? Do you have a family? Who are you? And we had the greatest time. And then Larry had also it's a converted bread truck from California.
Yeah, Patrick told me about this.
We did.
Yeah.
And that was where we bonded. And it was, Larry would drive us around because he was the only Texan. None of us were Texans.
That's
And
right.
he was the only one. So he thought he knew everything about. But where we ended up going, when he took us around showing us highlights, it was during like terrible snowstorms and ice storms, things in Texas. So he would drive us around. Where did we end up going? Like to the bars, the local bars. And we'd all kind of jump out like, oh, what are we doing here? And there's another one and another one. It was so funny. And we did end up going into some Tex-Mex places. But that was Larry's tour guide. Larry, it's dangerous to be in a car or a truck with Larry as a tour guide because he just took us to all his favorite bars.
Oh my gosh. I am sorry. So many funny things there. First of all, you're talking about Dallas, where everybody thinks of, you were all, rich and the finest clothes and cars and helicopter or whatever. And here you guys are offset in this rinky-dink motel with green shag carpeting. You're all on the floor together, and then you're driving around Dallas in a bread truck. I mean, talk about would I have loved to have been a fly on the wall seeing
You would
that.
have loved it. You would have loved it. It was just those, how you look back at your life, and I know you do, about things that happen that are precious and you can never,
Yep.
it's like, oh, I'm so grateful. And I mean, everybody has those things
Oh,
that just my whole thing is be grateful for every moment.
oh yeah. Yeah. Patrick described that bread truck, by the way. He told me that at one point Larry had like bean bags in the back and like it was almost like you know, like not a shrine, but it was like this like,
The
lounge.
hippie
Yeah,
truck,
hippie. That's it. Yeah.
an old hippie truck, which Larry was. And on the roof, they had a skylight, one of those round skylights, and they hung a hammock under the sky. I chose that. And so we would just drive around and I'd be like swinging in this hammock thing. And I mean, that's never ever, nobody's ever seen that. It's like, if they knew that the crazy Ewings were driving around in this converted bread truck, I was in a hammock under the skylight. I mean, those are precious memories.
Oh my gosh, they're the best. I'm sorry, I just love that. And then I also saw that once you I guess moved to Dallas, that you stayed at the mansion, which it was quite highfalutin, like as far as like a nice, pretty cool place. What made you move there, and how did that all come about?
Well, it was because of a few of the local people. By that time, we were past. We'd been picked up by CBS
Yeah,
as for a series, and so we were past the green shag carpet
I
phase.
got you.
And so we went into a couple of other, like, condos or something. And one lady said, why don't you go to the mansion? And I said, well, the mansion? What mansion? Anyway, it's a beautiful, beyond beautiful hotel, but
Yeah.
beyond, it's beautiful. So then I talked to my husband about it, who was in LA with the kids and working. And it's like, and he said, you're a single woman. You're now becoming famous in Texas. He said, why don't you just get a little room there? And I felt safe.
Yeah, right. Right.
And Patrick had his wife, Larry had his wife. It just seemed like, okay, I was the kind of the one that was single woman. And my husband said, I want you to be alone in some weird condo and all that. And it was true. Um,
Oh, that's cool.
so I stayed at the mansion. Then when Larry said to me, he said, where are you? Where are you staying? I told him. Well, he came over to visit with his wife
Yeah.
and he looked around. And the next thing I know, he was in the penthouse. He moved in to my private quality time. Then Barbara Bel Geddes decided, well, she needed to be safe also. And then Ken Kercheval came in.
Oh, come on.
I'm not kidding. And my private, beautiful, quiet, meditative place was taken over by renegades.
Oh my gosh.
And Larry was always so loud. And I mean, it was like, wait, that was my place. You've invaded it and made a mess.
Oh, that is so
But
funny
I
that you
was
guys would just move as a group into like these places. Wow.
mad at Larry because he took over the place. It was like, oh, did you know Larry Hagman's here? And I go, yes, I know.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And it was like he took over the hotel, became his hotel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And anyway, I carved out my privacy.
I gotcha. I gotcha. So what was your like, I guess what was it like offset when you weren't in a scene or something like that? Would you each kind of go your own space or did you kind of hang out together?
It varied. Every day was different. If somebody wasn't working, they had things to do, or whatever, or study their lines for the next day, or whatever. Because we
Hmm.
had a lot of dialogue, so we all kind of were very professional. That was the other thing. Everybody
Yeah.
was very professional, and so we would just do our thing because the hours were. I was up at 4:30 in the morning,
Yeah,
and
that's early. Wow.
and then but the guys at the mansion, they would have my car ready, and we were there filming in the summertime and it was so hot and humid. They'd have the air conditioning on for me, and
Oh,
I mean they were just beyond fabulous. And yeah, I would say whenever I would go back during the years when we were finished, I'd see them, and again it was like family.
oh, I love hearing that. That's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
did you uh well, I guess this part, is it true that you shot at the Southfork Ranch, you couldn't go inside, but that there was a point where there were actually fans were able to stand there and watch you? Is that true?
Yes, in the very beginning. Then they realized this is not a good idea.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
It was crazy because they were trying to include, because we were very new. The series, this was early on,
Mhm.
78, 79, something around there. And then we would be filming, and then you'd have these rows of people standing around watching you.
What?
It's like, ooh, and this is a dramatic show, it's
Yeah.
not funny, and you don't interact with anybody. So, and because we shot outside, by in the outside breakfast area, and because we didn't shoot anything inside,
Right.
so it was hot, and sometimes the fans were so, God bless them. They were, I mean, they came out and it was hot. It was hot. And they're just standing out there. But, they would say something or cough and sneeze or something normal.
What?
And it was like, this is not, I think the people, the producers were like, that's not working.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, really, I have to be honest, I was blown away by that because I'm picturing you like, let's say you're at the pool by, South Fork, and, you're like, whatever, you're talking, and you look over your shoulder and there's a guy watching you right there. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, that was crazy. And you're right. So that ended. And so,
Yeah. Oh, that was really something. I was like,
yeah,
wow, I can't believe they
yeah.
did that. The other thing, I kind of jump around a bit, but
I
in
love it.
in season 8, I th I think that's right. Is that the one where you guys could finally or negotiate for more money or whatever you wanted? And when you decided to be a director, like not decided, but you wanted, it was like, look, I want to direct. How did that all go down? Because I'll be honest, I was reading about it and I was like, I can't believe they made such a big deal out of it. It was almost like, well, no, like forget it. And I'm, what? Yeah, what
Yeah,
happened?
that was not that was not a good point in my life with them. I thought they would be more embracing and maybe talk to me. There was no conversation. It was no. And I studied with a female director. Her name was Lillian Chauvin. She was wonderful.
Yeah.
And she was a tough lady. And I told her early on, I said, I'd really like to direct. And she said, okay, I'll coach you. But she said, I won't let you go until she feels that I was properly prepared. I knew all the lenses, I knew everything. And she was a tough cookie too.
Hmm.
And she said, I'll tell you when I feel you're ready. I said, fine. So when she said that she felt I was ready, it was season 8 and it was time for negotiations. Well, I didn't want more money. It was not about money.
Hmm.
It was about my focus. I wanted to expand. I wanted
Hmm.
to do more than act. And I thought, this is the business I love. I've been in all my life and I want to expand. And I felt that season 8 was the perfect time to do it. So
Certainly.
she said, you're ready. So negotiations came, and I told them, I said, I don't want more money. I want to direct one episode in 52 episodes. That was,
What? I mean, it's such a like small thing when you look at it, you know? It's not season 1, this is season 8.
but I was a woman.
Oh,
And that was the bottom line. So the producer said to me, he said, well, that's not going to happen. He said, if you start directing, then all the other women on the show are going to want to direct. I said, okay, let me ask them. So I went to Barbara Bel Geddes and she went, hell no. And I mean, you can just see
yeah, I
hear her.
could. That's why I was laughing. I mean, it wasn't too hard.
And that was a big hell no. That was done.
Yeah, I
No.
bet. I bet.
And then I went to Victoria, and that was a no. That was
Mhm.
like big eyes went like no. Then then I thought, well, okay. Went to Susan Howard. She said no, and then I I did out of respect. I went to Charlene,
Yeah.
and she was like, I don't want to do that. And so I trotted back and I said, okay, um, none of the women want to direct. So that kind of I just kept coming in and sort of messing with them. That I didn't think I was, but I think it's like, oh God, here she comes again. What does she want? That was that kind of feeling. I wasn't
Unbelievable.
embraced and I wasn't told. And I said, look, I've studied for a year with Lily and Chauvin, and she feels that I'm ready and blah blah blah. So
Hmm.
anyway, it went on and on. They did not want me to direct. And I just still didn't get it. I'm like you, John. I couldn't get it.
I'm
Why?
like blown away. It really shocked. I mean, you weren't like, character number 4 asking. You were literally the star of the show, with Larry and Patrick and, I mean, and season 8, we're not talking, like I said, you've been there, you know it. I mean, it's just crazy they would take you through that ringer.
Yeah, it was to me disrespect because
Definitely.
Larry had already directed, Patrick had already directed, and then when it came to a crashing halt when I asked the question. So anyway, negotiations back and forth. And finally, they said, okay, we're going to let you direct one episode in 52, but you have to give us another year in the contract. So I had to give them 8, 9, 10, no, 9, 10, 11. I had to give it 3 years. No, no, no raise, nothing.
What?
Yeah. So
Oh
it was
man.
not happy. It was not a happy beginning of my directorial debut. It
Yeah.
wasn't. I was not happy. And uh, I worked my behind off to make sure that that I got noticed. And it wasn't ego. It was just like, look, I'm professional. I've studied,
Hmm.
and I feel ready to do this. So what I did, smart cookie, is I went on every talk show. And I thought, listen, they're my own family. They're not going to promote me. So I went on, all the talk shows and said, I'm so excited to be directing my first show. And I thought, okay, it's going to get, more people that would
Certainly.
want to watch the show. And they're like, wow, let's watch this one because she's directing it.
Of course.
And so, I mean, it was very lovely. The lovely compliments, great stuff. It was wonderful. And I was just so pleased because I did feel that, I did a great job. But the little funny thing I just remembered is that when I shot it, okay, normal Dallas, you remember normal Dallas. Two people in a bed, in a restaurant, in an office,
Always.
two people. And so I got my script all excited to do it. And so I opened it up with great anticipation.
Yeah.
I opened it up, and this was a costume ball on the island of Martinique. I'm like,
I mean,
what
come
happened?
on.
What happened to two people over here and there and everything?
Oh,
No, it was not that. And I had to shoot the sunrise, and it was shot in Malibu, so they wanted the sunrise. So the director of photography and myself, he lived out where I live. I lived far up on a ranch.
yeah.
So onward, we were now in LA, and we met and we went to catch the sunrise. So we were all bundled up. It was very cold, bundled up, and had a coffee, and we sat there, camera ready. No sunrise.
Oh my
It would
gosh.
just came up into the fog or something.
Yeah.
So like the third day with no sunrise, I called the producer and I said, could we use stock footage?
Yeah,
Footage
that's
that
such a
already.
basic, like they must have had one easily.
Yeah. And he said, no.
Oh,
And
so
another,
sad.
no, just no explanation.
Oh, this is
So
terrible.
every day, but it was like they were trying to,
Hmm. Hmm.
it's like, okay, it's her, she wants this, we'll make it miserable. And they did. And it wasn't like bah humbug. It wasn't that. It was like, I know what they're doing. They want, but this was a test for me. It
Hmm.
was like, okay, I had to negotiate one episode. I had to negotiate, wallow in a script that was not normal. Oh, and then on the set, they had German Shepherd dogs, live, real dogs.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, and a gurney and the dogs and the thing. My head was spinning. And so anyway, there wasn't a sunrise. So I still asked for stock footage, and they said, no, go out tomorrow, get your sunrise.
That is
And I
so
got it. I was so
disrespectful.
exhausted. It was like, what did I do? What have I done? Anyway, so I did it. I promoted the heck out of it, and we got great ratings, and I was so pleased. And then the good news is that they gave me 5 more.
Oh, that's so great. I mean,
So, I mean,
really.
at the end of the tunnel, there was this beautiful end of the story. So, anyway, I was happy.
Isn't that something? It's just mind-boggling to me when I think about them putting you through that. I mean, it's just, it's funny. I had Steve Canale on, and one thing that I've noticed and Patrick Duffy's been on, who, by the way, I mean, I think the world of both of them. Patrick Duffy, though, there's just something about the guy that is just I don't know. There's just this aura about him that just really draws me. But what I was going to say is, you guys are so bonded. The cast feels very bonded. There felt like there was a, like a real respect for each other. And then I got to be honest with you, I feel like on the producer level, a slight disconnect there. Like Steve Canale was on, and Steve was like, I'll be honest with you, I'm still a little pissed about the way they just let me go. Like it was just like, oh, and it's over. Like there was no, you know what I mean? They did it real cold, and it blows my mind. It really does. Like when you tell this story and when he tells that, because I don't know. It's just I know how big Dallas was. Anybody that's a fan knows how big this show was and how much that show was making. Let's be honest, and is still making, for these people. I just can't believe they would treat, the actors that way at that level. And maybe I'm a bit naive, but it just blows my mind, you know?
Yeah, it was surprising. What not as surprising. I was not surprised by the way they treated it. It was in time, it was our time in society where women in the business we were supposed to be, subservient. We were like
Right,
in the
right.
background and I mean, it was just obvious. So when I stepped up and I said, this is what I want, it was an easy no for them. It was like, no, no,
Hmm.
they didn't say it, but it was like, she's a woman.
Yeah, yeah.
Let the boys play, let them do all their stuff, let them direct, of course, let them direct.
Oh, sure, right.
I came here, man, no, not.
Wow.
And they
Well,
kind
you
of
kind of,
threw that script at me like, what happened? I've got gurneys, I've got dogs, I got Martinique sunrise, I got everything. It was almost like they threw it at me. It's like she wants
uh-huh.
to watch this. We're going to bury her.
Wow. Well, I gotta say, if we look at the other side of the coin, you helped open that door, you know?
Well, a little bit, I
Or
don't
hey,
think that, but yeah, I hear other directors, women directors, same thing. It hasn't even changed that much, and that's the sad part.
oh gosh, oh boy. Um, well, okay. On another note, we'll go in another note. I also had Christopher Atkins on.
Oh, I love
And
Chris.
I do too, by the way. We had a great time. And Chris talked about the how he got set up for the kiss with you with that kiss. Now he's told his side of the story. I would just like to hear yours because he's coming from the other end where he was like totally like he just got taken to the bank. What actually happened? Was it your idea? What I mean, and some people that are going to be watching aren't going to know what I'm referencing, so you might want to give a little background too.
Okay, well, I think it came from somebody else, but I perpetuated it. I just kind of thought, oh, what a great idea. Um, well, see, okay, just a little background more.
Yeah, please.
I'll keep it short. But
Nah, don't worry about it.
okay, thank you. Um, what happened was Larry didn't like intimate. He didn't like the kissing scenes. He didn't like that. He felt not that he didn't like them, but he just felt it was awkward.
Yeah.
And so he would do things like eat an onion before a kissing scene with me.
Jeez.
And he's like, oh, great, Larry, thanks. And then he would eat peanut butter and just make it. And I had to keep straight. I had to do this. So,
Oh my
and
gosh.
I thought, oh, rats, how can I get back? And so it might have been Larry that came up with this idea. When you kiss Chris Atkins, why don't you put numbing cream
Oh.
on your mouth? And I remember kind of clearly, it's kind of vague, but I thought, that's not nice. That was the Linda coming out. And then
Right.
Sue Ellen went, why not? Give the boy, he was new and, he was the toy boy.
Right.
And so anyway, I think the whole crew was in on it. So
Oh my gosh.
I don't know who started it. And so then came the older. It was when older women. It was kind of like they were the cougars.
Right.
And
Right.
that was a thing in society. There was like, oh, she's the cougar. So I was the cougar, loved it, and and that's what happened. And then the kiss came, and I kissed him, and then the whole crew was kind of standing there, not moving. But the scene was over, done. I waited till the very last, of course, and so that's what happened. That's what happened. I kissed him, and the crew was still standing there. We're all watching him, and then it happened, and then he was like, "Wow, my lips are like," like, "Oh, poor Chris." I felt terrible because I was in on it, and I was just like, "Okay, just you're gonna have to be. But think you're at the dentist. Something is not good."
Did you bust a gut? I mean, oh,
did. I did. I mean, that's it, what the beauty of Dallas for me is that we felt so comfortable with it with each other that we could
yeah.
do pranks and I mean it was crazy. The crew was in on everything. Everybody knew what was going on, and so there were some surprises, and it was just amazing the way it all came together. But there was a lot of humor every day.
What other pranks come like Patrick just told me a couple of things that went on. What other pranks do you recall that took place during the during the time you were on the show?
But one was I mean I still to this day can't believe that it happened. Larry and I had a scene in the bedroom, and so we rehearsed and everything was fine. And Larry was supposed to go to the closet to get something out of the closet. And we had on the set, we had this heavy guy. He was on the crew, and he had a big tummy, and yeah, he was one of the guys.
Yeah.
So we rehearsed this scene, and Larry and I was sitting, crimping, doing something, and so Larry opens the door to the closet, and this heavy guy was standing there naked, and on he has tattoos around his tummy button that said "Waste King," like a garbage disposal, but it was tattooed on his there. Here. And this naked guy is just standing when Larry opened the door, standing in the closet. And I mean, the whole crew, we were hysterically laughing because this was like this is pretty wild. We got the naked crew guy in there with the waist
Oh.
taken over. I mean, I'll never forget that one because that was a shock. No, I didn't know. I don't know what even Larry knew. I don't know. But we were all like laughing, hysterically laughing on the floor. And quickly somebody came in with a robe and covered him up. But those things happened periodically, like, okay, another Dallas moment.
Oh my gosh. Would you try to, I mean, was it fairly common that people would try to like, make someone crack up in a scene or, something like that? Or was it more like just on occasion you might?
Just on occasion.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was mainly Larry. I mean, Larry had most of the dialogue anyway. But
Yeah.
in a dinner scene, if he messed his lines, he'd go, rah, 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 and it would come out of his mouth. And we were so mad at him because it took forever to shoot a dinner scene.
Oh,
Because they had to go around, they shoot the whole table, then they take each one individual. It took all day. And it was like, don't do that. Just stop so we can get through this day. And he didn't. He had the funny thing. He and Patrick would put a dinner roll on a fork, and they'd hit it like that, and it would fly across the table. And Barbara Bel Geddes, in her wonderful way, she would sit there and she'd go, "Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!" Like mom would do. And the rolls kept going back and forth because we were waiting for the lighting or something.
oh,
And then one of us would somebody, not the women, but the guys would grab one of the rolls, the dinner rolls, and it would start all over again. And we were like, "Oh my God, we just want to go home. You're two
oh,
guys, you're stalling, making it stall." But it was always funny.
oh my gosh, that's hysterical. What, Barbara Bel Geddes, by the way, I mean, like I said earlier, I kind of view her as in that like iconic, like actress. I don't know how else to put it. Yeah, did you kind of see her on that level while you were shooting? Was she a bit of a, a mentor, so to speak, or how would you view it?
She was so down to earth and so amazing. I would watch her in a scene, and she was just beyond. She was so clear, so right on, so focused, and I just loved her. I call her Mama because she was my mother-in-law,
Wow.
and but an extraordinary. One day, she got a phone call, and they had come in and say there's someone's on the phone that's important. You should take this call. Anyway, so she took the call and she got off the phone. And that afternoon, in her dressing room, uh, she had said high 10 and high 10. And so I said, who are you talking to? She said, that was Tennessee Williams.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, and you're calling him 10. Oh my God, high 10. That was that was just like another shock of how extraordinary she was. She's just talking to Tennessee Williams, like
I mean,
you
one of the greatest playwrights in the
exactly,
20th century. Yeah. Wow.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And I had seen her before I even knew she had done a film with Alfred Hitchcock,
Hmm.
and where she kills somebody with a leg of lamb. And I remember it clearly. And she was flawless. She had the police, and they were there coming to see her about her dead husband. And she had this leg of lamb in the oven, invited them to stay for dinner, the police.
Oh my
And
gosh.
that was the murder weapon. She had killed him with a frozen leg of lamb.
Oh
And
my
now it was
gosh.
in the oven, getting ready to be served. And I thought, that's genius.
It is
And
genius.
she was genius in that movie. If you ever find it, take a look.
I will. I'll look for that. I will. That sounds amazing. Did you because I know you shot around South Fork, but then did you shoot at a studio at points as well then?
Yes. And that's what's kind of still weird to me. But we were in Sony Studios now. It was Lorimar before
Hmm.
that. And
Sure.
they built the sets on the seventh stage. And that was, the Ewing household. So even when people go to South Fork Ranch to look at the house, the interior is nothing like they saw on film.
Interesting. How was it laid out? A lot of my subscribers will say, I mean, it sounds like something small, but a lot of them just want to know when you walked in, then was it like, here's the living room, how was it laid out? Like what set next to what set, how was that? How did it look?
On film or in
Oh,
reality?
in reality, when
Oh, in reality,
yeah.
let's see, if you walked in the front door of Southfork, the living room was kind of like a step down, and that was the living room. Off to the left was the dining room, then the kitchen behind there, and outside of the kitchen was the little breakfast room, and then beyond that was where we all sat for the breakfast scenes.
Oh,
So we
interesting.
shot nothing inside, and none of the bedrooms looked like you saw on film.
Oh, how interesting. Okay, that's pretty wild. I didn't realize that happened. So how often would you actually shoot at Sony versus going to South Fork?
We were 2 months in Texas. 2 months.
Uh-huh.
Then the rest was in Los Angeles.
So you would shoot everything during that 2 months and then come back and then they would edit together the footage.
Yes, correct.
Okay, very interesting.
I mean,
Wow.
the drive up and down the driveway, that long driveway to South Fork, that, and then we just use a lot of the local things, like a hospital, restaurants, and the office buildings. They would kind of establish that was Ewing Oil Building. That was
Hmm.
so those were established in Texas, so that you knew you were in Dallas, Texas.
I gotcha. How did you feel, by the way, when all these years later you come back and you're on the, quote unquote, new Dallas? What was that like for you?
That was a joy. That was a surprise, a beautiful surprise, because Larry and Patrick and I were very close. We called ourselves the Three Musketeers. And so during the end of the original Dallas, we would see each other like all the time. We were like family, we would.
Really?
Maya and I kept, we would travel together to promote the show, and so it wasn't like a big span of not seeing each other.
Hmm.
So then when we got the call, I remember driving in my car in Los Angeles, and I got the call saying, "Would you like to do this again?" And I was like, "Oh." So I called Larry. Larry called me. We called Patrick. It was like, "Did you get that call?" And there we were. We were so excited. It's absolutely so excited.
Was it kind of wild being on that set for the first, like, you're like back on, you're looking around, and it's like, what is it like? You just step back in time, or
It
what?
was. I mean, the three of us, we were just like overjoyed. And I mean, that was the coolest part. It was like, here this is big family. This is bigger than Dallas. It was well. Then we had that was the first time, because CBS was not doing it. TNT was doing it.
Right.
They were producing it, so that they said, you all have to move here. You have to move to Dallas. I didn't want to move to Dallas. I loved Dallas. I had so many friends there, and
Sure.
it was lovely. By then, I'd met so many people, and I thought, okay, my kids are grown and married, so why not? So we did. We moved. We
I'll
moved.
be darned, you did move. Oh my
Yeah, I mean,
gosh.
we kept our own homes in LA,
Yeah.
but when we were filming, there was no 6 weeks. We lived there.
Oh my gosh, that's really something. Did my last question for you, because I could talk to you for about 3 hours, by the way. You were an absolute sweetheart. Like, it is not even giving enough. I mean, just a pleasure. What I mentioned Oscar at the very top with Sylvester Stallone. So you do that, I believe, right after Dallas kind of comes to a close. What was that like working with Stallone?
Loved it. He was charming, so lovely. And the rest of the cast, they had these incredible character actors. And I just remember being on the set a day when I had a day off of the filming. I would go and watch these beautiful people um, act and do their performances. Unbelievable. It was such a joy to work with him and everybody. That's when Marissa Tomei, that's where I think her beginning was Oscar.
Oh, interesting. Wow. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, hey, listen, thanks so much for being on. I mean,
Thank you.
it,
Thank you for having me on. I
yeah,
loved it.
I gotta tell you, I really enjoyed it, and yeah, at some point maybe we might have to talk again, because you have so much in your career outside of Dallas, but it was just a pleasure. So yeah,
I feel the same, John. Thank you so much. Really
you got
was.
it. All right, take care of yourself.
Of course, you do the same.
Okay, bye.
Bye, John.
Bye-bye. Hope you enjoyed the interview. Please don't forget to hit the subscription button and also hit the notification bell right after that so that you get notified whenever I have a new episode. And be sure to check out some of my other interviews. Henry Winkler, Jerry Mathers, Angela Cartwright, Shelley Fabre. It goes on and on. They're so great. Enjoy.